Now it's time for us to debate, okay? The other big headline today out of the political world is about the former president, all right? And there's more and more talk that the Manhattan District Attorney is going to indict the former president in connection with the payoff of Stormy Daniels, a name that people will remember. And your friend Michael Cohen, the old bag man for Trump, is going in to testify to the grand jury, we assume, to the disadvantage of his former boss. Do you think, one, this is a real case that can be made and won, and two, that it is a case worth making in terms of our political well-being?
So I can't speak to the merits of the facts of the case. I really don't know the underlying merits or facts, but I think it would be ironic, given all of the multitude of different things that Mr. Trump, President Trump, has done over the last 5 years, but also the 50 years of his business career. This would be the astonishing one. This would be like getting Al Capone on tax evasion, Chris. So that would be astonishing if they actually make that case. I have been in the camp that putting former political leaders in prison, I think the United States has have a very high threshold on that because you don't want to turn the country into a banana republic. Many countries today, they build a jail cell for their political opposition. Look at what happened with the Brazilian president Lula. He was in jail. He's now returned to power out of jail. That happens all over the world. We do not want the United States to end up like that. And my last point is Teddy Kennedy, who excoriated Gerald Ford in September of 1974 for pardoning Richard Nixon, on his deathbed when he was writing his memoirs in 2009, 35 years later, he said, you know what? Gerald Ford got it right. He kept the continuity of the government, even though we had one bad actor. He didn't tip the scales to have a tit for tat in the partisan way that we're going with things. So I don't think they should bring that case. I don't think that should be the case. If there's something more directly criminal, perhaps something that happened in Georgia or other things that the president did, they seem way more egregious than that one. But we'll have to see. It's sort of a cover-up of the cover-up case. So it'll be an interesting thing if they bring it.
I mean, to the extent that people care about the underlying case, the reason I'm not a fan of this New York case, if they indict the former president, because basically they'd be having to make the case that not only did he pay off Stormy Daniels, but he paid back Michael Cohen for paying off Stormy Daniels. And they didn't book it right at the company. And the reason they didn't book it right at the company is because they were trying to avoid campaign finance rules, which I think is a big stretch. He didn't care about campaign finance rules. He just cared about keeping it quiet. That's what it was. So I think it's a very hard case. And I think when you go out and you don't make this case, especially when you want to hang it on this guy, your friend Michael Cohen, this is your source of the situation. Now, a lot of people are saying this never happened.
You're trying to get me to take the bait with the friend Michael Cohen stuff. I love you for that. Listen.
Well, you're friends with everybody, right?
Michael,
Anthony?
if Michael's sort of a friend, I understand that. But if Michael was my friend, I would give a message to Michael. Drop it. Don't live your life in bitterness. Go forward without the Donald Trump harangue, the millstone on your neck. He
sees
you're angry,
this
Chris,
as his redemption.
I understand that, but when you're angry, you're drinking a poison hoping that the other person dies, okay? And it never works that way. People are better off just focusing on their health and well-being and not bearing grudges. That's my personal opinion. But you keep saying my friend Michael Cohen, and I appreciate that.
Well, you just gave him advice, so he must be your friend.
Well,
hold on. I want to play something first.
Because I like people doing well in life.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.